And welcome back. Before we go ahead and work on refining our work with the motion tween, there's something that I want to take a moment to add to our skill set here, which is the ability to import pre-made images such as PNGs or JPEGs into our workspace here so that way we can use those in things like our motion tweens. Because up to this point we've been using pretty much just these primitive shapes and we converted them over to symbols. But what's if I had something that I made in, let's say, Photoshop, and I want to bring that on over into here as a PNG? Well, the way to do that is very simple. All we need to do is go up here and we of course have our menu. Well, of course, you might think, okay, I'm going to insert. But if you look under insert, there's no option for that. So we need to first go to file to bring that into our system here. Now, if we try to open, this is only reserved for pretty much animate files. So things like FLA files. So we are not going to use open. Instead, we're going to use this other command called import. And now what import does is allows us to import effectively different types of media into our workspace. And you can see we have a couple different options here. We have import to stage, import to library, and import to video. Import video is obviously pretty self-explanatory. We're just importing video. Import to library is where we have a common resource and we want to use it across multiple projects. But for most of the time, what we're going to use is import to stage because that is going to import a single file into our current project. So let's go ahead and click on import to stage. And it's going to, of course, go ahead and bring up our file explorer here. I'm going to go to downloads. And I went ahead and created a few different things here. And so let's just go ahead and grab these images that I found. So I have this plane that I can import, and I can just click on the open button here to bring this here into my canvas. Or if I want, I can add other ones here. Oh, not open. I want import, import to stage. And I'm going to go ahead and do this cloud. All right, and you can see that it brings both of these in, and right now they are quite large, so I can, of course, grab my free transform tool and resize these, and, of course, stretch and resize them accordingly. And I can move them around freely, and so, of course, I have that ability to do so. Now, one thing you will notice is that when I imported these, it imported it all on the same layer, and I can select these both and hit the delete key to remove them. But if I want to import both objects at the same time, I, of course, can hold down the shift key here, and I can, of course, bring in these items. Now, you will notice it says one or more library already exists. That's because we had these items previously here. So if we had previously imported them and we re-import them again, we can choose to not replace those items, or we can replace the existing items. All right, which, of course, just simply overwrites them. Now, one thing you will notice is, again, is that these are still overlapping atop of each other. And now that these, of course, are in here, I can then manipulate these different items. So one drawback that you will immediately notice is that with these items here is that they are on the same layer. Because they're on the same layer, they immediately have issues with them kind of overlapping. And so one of the quickest way to solve that is to kind of put each item onto its own layer. So I'm going to create a layer for the plane and a layer for the cloud. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to that cloud, and I could re-import it onto the cloud layer. Or if it's already here on my canvas, I can use the keyboard shortcut of cut, so Control X to cut that cloud. I can click now on the cloud layer, and I can now paste that there, and you will see that it now belongs to the cloud layer. And I know that for sure because if I hide that cloud layer, you can see that it toggles easily there. And you can see how the cloud, of course, is a PNG because we are supporting transparency, whereas this plane is a JPEG. It has some artifacting going on here, and you can see in the image, and it does not necessarily support that same transparency, which is fine, right? So I'm just going to shrink these down, and I'm going to actually duplicate this cloud. So maybe I want more than one cloud here. And of course, we have our standard options such as copy, paste, and stuff like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy that and go ahead and paste it in so I can make multiple clouds here. And let's go ahead and I can also choose paste and center, which will give me another one. So I'm just going to add a couple of small clouds here. And here's my plane dude. If I want to rotate him, so maybe I want him to go the other way, I, of course, have my tool options to be able to do such thing. I could just grab the tree transform tool and rotate him quite easily. All right, so that is a real quick tutorial of how to get images into here. And of course, as you can see, it's very easy to manipulate them to get them into the different positions that I want them to be. When we come back next time, we shall look at how to take that motion tween that we had previously examined and refine it in such a way that we can make these images now react in with that motion.